Most people don't know that they either know a covert narcissist or have become a victim of a covert narcissist until they are deep in the trenches with one. In this video, we're going to talk about 10 signs that you've met a covert narcissist so that you can keep your eyes out for these red flags when getting to know someone so that you can arm yourself and protect yourself against somebody with narcissistic tendencies. The covert narcissist is hard to spot at first. The overt narcissist is usually in your face, very egotistical and very aggressive, so you usually know up front that an overt narcissist is in your presence. But a covert narcissist is more undercover. They're more manipulative behind the scenes, and so they're harder to spot. And you usually don't really know who someone is until they start to let their guard down with you. The covert narcissist is hiding their true identity, and in this video, we are going to break down some of the ways that you can spot somebody who's being a covert narcissist. Hello, my beautiful friends. My name is Carrie Cox, and welcome to my channel where we learn how to use our personal power to build a connection between our mind, body, and spirit. On this channel, we talk about spirituality, law of attraction, narcissism, and twin flames. When we meet a covert narcissist, they are usually on their best behavior. They try to come across so nice and sometimes even humble, or they may try to present themselves as a victim so that you feel sorry for them. They don't like to take responsibility for their part in anything, so they may exaggerate their stories so that you will feel sorry for them and help them out, because their stories could seem like they just came out of an abusive relationship and now they need some help. Maybe they need financial help, but usually they're the ones who were the abuser in their relationship and someone else was their victim. They attach themselves to people that they can have power and control over. If you do not give your power away to them and they cannot manipulate and control you, then you will not be able to give them the narcissistic supply that they need. So they will usually find somebody else to attach themselves to. So they usually go after people who are empathic or people pleasers, people that they know they can manipulate. But if you start to figure out who they are and you don't give them supply anymore, they usually will move on to someone else. In researching all this narcissism, I realized that years ago I had a covert narcissist in my life, and it never dawned on me until now looking back. And all of the signs were there that she was a covert narcissist. And for a couple of years, she had my power and she was able to control me. And it was more like I was on the inside with her. And, now looking back, I don't know how much of everything she told me were lies, because they do lie about a lot of things and they exaggerate about a lot of things. And so I don't know how much of it was lies, but I remember being close to her. I was in the in group, but shortly after that, I had started waking up and going through my own spiritual awakening. And on some level, I must have been seeing through her, because her lies no longer, and her tactics no longer worked for me. And as soon as I started going against her, she started running smear campaigns against me in our community. And now looking back, I completely understand the chain of events that transpired, because now I understand she was a covert narcissist. So when we arm ourselves with the knowledge and the power of the information of who these people are and how they operate, we can use that against the narcissist in order to fight back against them, so that we aren't allowing them to use us for their supply. We are not allowing them to take our power from us. And so that's why knowing these signs of a covert narcissist may help you in understanding who you're dealing with. So let's talk about the first sign that you've met a covert narcissist. This is someone who is judging other people, and it's constant. They're always criticizing other people, they're gossiping, they're passing judgment on others, and it's because they have very fragile egos, and they are very jealous of other people. So a lot of times the things that they are gossiping about or complaining about in other people are really their own self-esteem issues on how they really feel about themselves inside, projecting out against the people they're talking about. Covert narcissists are always in constant competition, so they're always trying to compare themselves to others and trying to one-up everyone else. That's why they use a lot of lies and exaggerations in their storytelling, so that other people will feel sorry for them because they look like the victim, or they look like everyone else is out to get them, when they're the ones that are using manipulation tactics against everybody. They're even manipulating the ones they're telling these lies and exaggerations about to get their sympathy and get their attention, because at the end of the day, that's what the covert narcissist is looking for. They're looking for some validation from the outside world. They're looking for attention. They're craving that attention. When we are healthy, we don't compete with our friends and our family members. We support our friends and our family. We want the best for them. We want them to get ahead. We want them to succeed. We don't compare ourselves or judge ourselves against others. And that's what these toxic people do, is they're constantly comparing themselves to other people. Sign number 2 that you've met a covert narcissist is they're very sensitive to criticism. So if you're just meeting someone and you're realizing that they're blaming everyone else and they're never taking responsibility for anything, if you're seeing that they're extremely sensitive if you offer any criticism or feedback, this is a telltale sign that they are narcissistic. The reason why a narcissist is so defensive against any kind of criticism or cannot take blame for anything is it is a defense mechanism that they have built long ago within them to keep themselves protected and feeling safe. So at some point in their life, they experienced some sort of trauma where they didn't feel safe, and this is how they can get some sort of safety in the moment or the situation. They develop this superiority complex in order to feel safe. So if you notice that they're always trying to make themselves better than everyone else and there's a lot of competition, then these might be some red flags for you. Now, when a narcissist does not receive the outside validation or attention that they are trying to receive, they can go into what is called narcissistic rage. So if you're starting to see some red flags where you see a person gets very angry when they aren't getting the attention or when someone else takes the attention away from them, that's a red flag as well, that you're dealing with someone who is probably on the spectrum of narcissism. You will notice if you are trying to talk to them about how you feel or something they did, and they're getting very defensive and trying to divert the conversation away from them back onto you, maybe putting the blame back onto you or diverting it to some other subject matter, that's a red flag that they can't handle this conversation because it's making them not look perfect and they can't handle that. So that's a red flag that you're dealing with somebody who has narcissistic tendencies. If you are co-parenting with a narcissistic parent, you will notice that anytime you try to speak about the kids and that person is taking it as any sort of blame or finger pointing or anything that could make them look bad, and it doesn't even have to be something they directly done. Even if the kids aren't perfect, that makes the narcissistic parent look bad. They could get very defensive, and you could find yourself in situations where you can't even make decisions with this other parent. There is no co-parenting with a narcissist. It is called parallel parenting because they aren't on the same team as you. They don't have the child's best interest in mind because everything comes back to them at the end of the day. And if you're trying to discuss either a medical need of the child or something the child is struggling with, that's a direct indication that something may not be right in the narcissist's life, and it's going to trigger them, and they will divert the conversation away from the child, back on you, and blame you for a lot of things. This is their way of avoiding what's making them feel unsafe. But the frustrating part of it is you can't get anything done, and who suffers in the end is the child, because you can't make good, logical, and rational decisions about their education or their medical needs when you're dealing with somebody who has 50% say in something and they're not able to have a logical conversation. The third sign that you might be dealing with a covert narcissist is they like to play victim. A narcissist is in denial of their own flaws. They can't handle criticism, they can't take blame, so they will make themselves look like the victim. If you've just met someone and you're seeing patterns where they're, blaming the ex, blaming the boss, blaming everyone else, and you never hear them take responsibility for anything, that is a red flag that you're dealing with a covert narcissist. When a relationship is ending with a narcissist, they go on what's called a smear campaign, and they will smear the ex-partner to death. So they will tell all of the friends and family all of these lies and manipulations because they want everyone to be on their side. The more they can make this person sound bad, the more they look like a victim, and that's their goal, is to make everyone be on their side, because they want no attention being put to the other partner in the relationship. They will do whatever they can to make the other person look like the worst person in the world. And most of the time, the victims to the narcissist are the most genuine, kind-hearted people in the world. This usually is because narcissists pick those kind-hearted, empathic people as their victims. The fourth sign that you're dealing with a narcissistic person is they gaslight other people. They're always looking for an opportunity to confuse people, because the more they can confuse you in your perception of reality, the more they can control you. So this is a manipulation tactic that the narcissist uses to gain that upper hand over other people. So they will make you be confused about your own reality. So they may tell you that the situation is X, Y, and Z, and you didn't see it that way. You saw it as a different way. They will keep pressing and saying, no, it wasn't that way. It was this way. You get so confused about the situation and you start questioning your own self. And so you start thinking, well, I must remember it wrong, so that person must be right. And so you start doubting your own ability to perceive things in your own way. And so the narcissist is gaining control over your power, so that in the future, you will always doubt yourself and always believe them. And most of the time, everything they say are lies and exaggerations. And so you're always going to be buying into their lies. So this is a tactic that they start using right off the bat to start breaking down your own sense of worth and security. The fifth sign that you've met a covert narcissist is they use something called triangulation. They love using triangulation, and they love using flying monkeys. So triangulation is when the narcissist brings a third party into the mix, and that third party is their flying monkey. And they use that third party to convince you and gaslight you even more into believing a reality that's not true. So that if they're trying to tell you one thing and you have this third party person coming in and saying, yeah, this person's right, why aren't you buying into what they're saying? Then you start questioning yourself even more, like, okay, I must be the crazy one here. I must be the one that's wrong, because now I've got multiple people telling me I'm wrong. So they can manipulate other people, usually a lot of times it will be friends and family members, to go after you. They'll use things like, well, my family all thinks this, or this family member thinks that of you, and then they can start using that third party to create this triangle. A narcissistic parent will do this a lot with their kids. So if one kid is their golden child and that kid is in a room with the sibling who maybe that golden child is really good at something, they can always compliment that child in front of the other child to make the other child feel knocked down. The other child will be questioning their own reality. It will make that sibling feel discounted and small. And this is just another way to gain power and control over that sibling. Narcissists want their victims to become dependent on them. They want their kids to become dependent on them. They want their partners to become dependent on them. They need everybody to be so dependent on them because at the end of the day, they have a fear of abandonment. And if you're so codependent on them, you won't abandon them. The goal of the narcissist with using triangulation is to make you feel anxious and insecure and more reliant and dependent on them. This is a very passive-aggressive technique that they use. Which brings us into our sixth sign that you've met a covert narcissism. They use passive-aggressive techniques with you. So triangulation is a passive-aggressive technique, and they use this to gain that power and that control over you. They use it to make themselves look better in the eyes of other people. They use it to get revenge on you or to punish you. And they use this passive-aggressive behavior against you by blame shifting, by disguising hurtful jokes, and they may use the silent treatment. You'll see a lot of hostile joking with the narcissist, or they'll be very passive aggressive. They'll like make a comment towards you and they'll follow it up with just kidding. They're not really kidding, but they know that they better say that in the moment. So they will disguise what they're saying behind sarcasm. So if you're seeing a lot of teasing and sarcasm in the beginning of a relationship, it's a red flag to you that you might be dealing with somebody who's narcissistic. The seventh sign you've met a covert narcissist is blaming and shaming. The narcissist uses guilt to manipulate other people. I see all the time narcissistic parents using guilt to manipulate their children, to get their kids to do, what they want them to do. They will criticize and shame other groups of people, or they'll put them down. And this is because they don't have the ability to empathize with other people. You'll see that narcissists have a lot of negative energy around them. They're not the people you want to be around, especially if you're somebody who's into spirituality and into keeping your vibration high. They will drain your vibration and energy so fast. The eighth sign that you've met a covert narcissist is the silent treatment. I am going to do an entire video, and if that's already out, I will link it below, on the silent treatment, because I actually just recently went through this with the narcissist that's in our life. And this is a very passive-aggressive technique that they use. It can be very frustrating when you're on the other end of it. It is a way for the narcissistic person to gain power and control over you. They do this by avoiding having to communicate with you, and they're using this as a form of punishment, especially if they're not getting their own way. So if you aren't cooperating with whatever they have planned, because they want to manipulate and control everything, so you're not going along with their control tactics, they will get mad and they will use this as a tactic to punish you or get revenge on you. If you are in a close relationship with a narcissist, they may use the silent treatment to withhold affection from you. They may not touch you or talk to you, withhold attention from you, and they do this by neglecting you. They are hoping that this hurts you. And this negative energy can be very draining on you and your energy. The ninth sign that you've met a covert narcissist is that they project onto you. So it's very important to make sure that you protect your own feelings and you're aware and conscious of what is happening to you, because they will project their feelings consciously and unconsciously of inadequacy and shame onto you. And the 10th sign that you've met a covert narcissist is They are emotionally unavailable to you. And this can be very hard for somebody who's empathic to live with somebody who is not emotionally available to them. Because remember, a narcissist cannot admit to their faults, cannot feel empathy for other people, and don't really like to talk about their feelings. So this means they are unable to have genuine connections with people. They don't have a lot of trust in other people. Well, I hope that these 10 signs that you met a covert narcissist will help you in seeing some red flags when meeting new people, or even in trying to figure out the people around you. The best way to arm yourself against somebody who is narcissistic is to have as much knowledge and power to understand that person and how they operate. And then from there, you can make an informed decision about how close you want to allow them to you in your life. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up, share it with anyone you think needs to hear this message today. And as always, have a blessed and beautiful day, and namaste.